Hello and welcome to Business Today. I am Siddharth Zarabi and we are continuing our coverage here from the World Economic Forum at Davos, and with me now C. Vijayakumar, the CEO and Managing Director of HCLTech. Welcome to our studios, Vijay. I know there's so much that you've been talking about, meeting people and with the pavilion that your company has. You must have got a sense of what's happening in the world, but I want to start with this one big thing, the United States. A new administration, a new president, a flurry of executive orders. How do you read this new administration and its likely impact on overall global business that is likely to pan out?
I think overall it's going to play out well. That's my view. Because every country needs to do what is right for their own people. And if everybody does that, there will always be points of intersection where we can collaborate and create more value. So I think, of course, there is going to be a reset on a lot of areas, and as businesses and corporations, we have to adopt to the newer rules, and I think it should all be okay.
You know, one of the things that has come out, and this in the run-up to the US elections, it became a massive debating point there. But President Trump, post being sworn in, has endorsed H1B, and that leads me to my next question. Do you think the cloud over H1B overall, not for your company, I'm saying as an industry and for India, it has lifted and therefore there is now some sanity around that debate?
I'm not sure. It's still very early days how everything will pan out. We do not know. But overall, as an industry or as HCLTech, our dependence on H1B visas are very, very low. Probably every year we need maybe less than 1,000 visas. And we've always continued to build local talent, local hiring. All of that is scaled up over the last many years, maybe 15 years. So today our dependence is very less, and I don't think it will create any change in our overall business.
One of the other features of the emerging situation is this wave of optimism in US CEOs with regard to growth in America. $27 trillion economy, even 2.5% is a very massive number in economic terms. And the sense that I get from my limited interactions here is they're optimistic. Inflation is under control, and they feel that even this point about bringing back manufacturing into America will play out well in the long run. As an IT company CEO, how's your reading of this situation, and what will it mean down the line for Indian IT and your company?
Yeah, I think based on all the conversations, I've met 35 plus C-level leaders. I see, like last year at this time, there was a lot of uncertainty in people's mind, and most of them were on a holding pattern. And I see that that's not there. People have a good understanding of what is likely to happen, because directionally a lot of things are clear, may not be the specifics. So I think everyone is trying to adopt to what potentially could be the new kind of regimes, rules and regulations. And I think that optimism or clarity, I think, is kind of triggering people to think that, I mean, we just cannot be in a holding pattern for very long time. We have to kind of take this as given and see what best we can do in terms of new initiatives, new projects, leveraging new technology. All of that seems to kind of feels like a restart.
Where's the Indian IT industry in terms of a cycle? Post-COVID cycle, we saw one massive boom.
Yes.
We've also seen the past year being unprecedented in terms of the total cutbacks in jobs. Wage growth has also been muted, and perhaps new hiring as well. Where do you read the cycle is the worst in those terms now behind the sector?
Yeah. We already, last couple of quarters, we've already been seeing some improvement in the growth profile and improvement in demand. We've already seen that in the September quarter, in the December quarter as well. So there is a nice momentum building up, and we think it will continue.
And what geographies will contribute?
Of course, US is our biggest geography. More than 60% of our revenues come from US. About 30% comes from Europe, and 10% in other geographies. Even in Europe, we see that, of course, there is a lot more pressure and a lot more efficiency and cost optimization type of opportunities which are playing out. But it's good. I mean, we did deliver good growth, and we see a good outlook for Europe as well. Our pipeline in Europe is very good.
And if I can ask you to sort of talk about the pipeline for the full year, how much more incremental additions do you feel happening as far as deal pipeline is concerned?
Our deal pipeline is already at an all-time high, maybe just near all-time high. The last time it reached a peak was in the beginning of last year when we had a mega deal in the pipeline. Today, even though we don't have a mega deal, our pipeline is near all-time high. And that's quite, both US and Europe has contributed to that increased pipeline.
We saw a robust period of double-digit growth over 2 decades. We saw massive job addition. Profit margins were also pretty decent. We've now seen a single-digit era. Do you see those boom times coming back, or should all analysts, stakeholders be prepared for single-digit sustainable growth?
I think, first of all, this is a very, very large industry, right? It's maybe $1.5 trillion is the overall spend, whether it is IT services, engineering services, and all of that. So if you're a strong player with good execution capabilities, you should definitely expect better growth than what we've seen in the last couple of years. And if you see the cycle in the industry, of course, there was a big dip during COVID. There was 2 years of upcycle. These last 2 years have been a down cycle, mostly moderate. I'm hopeful with a little better clarity with corporates, decision makers, there'll be more spend. And I think AI is also going to lead to a lot of new initiatives in corporates, and they will all translate into programs for us.
I was going to ask you that in terms of the new trends that you see. You mentioned AI. Expand on that for our audience, particularly from a point of view of adoption from your customers and what you are doing to help them achieve that adoption.
So I think our goal is we have a program for service transformation. We run a $13.8 billion services business. A big part of it, almost every part of it, will have to be influenced by AI. And there is going to be some efficiency and optimization in every aspect of the entire 220,000 people that we have. We are enabling every individual to benefit from generative AI. And this is a trend. I think we're still in the early days, but there is definitely going to be more human capital or human bandwidth unlocked with more and more use of AI. Now, how do we leverage that, the bandwidth or capital that is released to deliver more or deliver more growth? I think that's the point that we should all be looking for.
That unlocking at an industry level hopefully will not translate into further layoffs, right?
I think there is definitely, I don't think so. And we don't have any such plans. We continue to grow. But as an industry, the people growth and revenue growth will see some decoupling. Truly, if somebody is leveraging AI, then they have to grow without adding people. That's really the bottom line. Otherwise you can talk about AI and we are doing this and that. Eventually it needs to translate to certain outcomes. And that outcomes would mean that you're unlocking some human potential, which should be leveraged for more growth. So I think companies should be able to grow 5 to 10% without adding people. But you might end up paying more because the wage bill may go up in line with your revenue. But the headcount growth and revenue growth, you will start seeing decoupling gradually.
Okay, that's an interesting one. I noticed that there's a report that's been released since we are talking about AI, and I just want to refer to that for the benefit of our viewers. This is a HCLTech and MIT Technology Review Insights report, and it reveals that while 87% of the respondents believe responsible AI practices are critical, 85% of all business executives polled are not well prepared to adopt them. What does this therefore?
Even in the clients where we're trying to kind of go full steam on implementing generative AI, the entire change management is very complex. You need to be able to measure productivity in a very, very granular manner. You need to be able to enable people to adopt all the tools. And on adoption of the tools, exactly what is the benefit that is coming? How do you realize value? And you need to be able to kind of bucket that and clearly say this is the true benefit that I've got, and then you scale. I think that's where a lot of companies, the change management is a very, very important piece if you want to scale generative AI across the organization. And that's where a lot of executives feel they're not prepared. The second aspect is the technology is also changing very rapidly. So I don't think we're able to visualize what the end state of this or even an intermediate end state is, because with agentic AI, there is a completely new dimension of what you can achieve. So I think since technology is also changing rapidly, to be prepared for this big, large-scale change is where people are a little bit hesitant.
In a very simplistic manner, does it hark back to the era when computers were being introduced and you had strikes in the public sector saying that it will take jobs? Should today's employees look at it in the same way?
I don't think so, because it's, we have to look at AI enabling everyone to do more. I think that's really the mantra.
Okay. There's so much more to talk here at Davos, but I'm going to let CVK leave now, and with the hope that Indian IT and its cyclical place will ensure that growth comes, jobs come, and for millions and millions of Indians who aspire to have a job in the IT sector, there are much better times ahead. CVK, thank you very much for your time with us today. With that, it's a wrap on this conversation. We'll be back with more. Until then, goodbye.